Hey, what's going on, Automotive Nation? Welcome back to another episode of the Game Changer Holiday Series. And boy, am I glad that you guys have decided to come join us because this has been a really fun series to do. And, I'm getting into the holiday mood. We can drink a little eggnog while we're watching today's series. Actually, today's episode, I'm excited for this, all right? I got some great friends over at Demand Local, and they did a chat about selecting the best partner for your advertising efforts in 2026. Look, this conversation couldn't be any more timely. This is that time of year that you really need to take a look at and determine, is that agency a vendor or a partner? And I'm telling you right now, there is a huge difference here. One of the things I used to do when I was an operator, I had my own dealership, is I would have a meeting with all of my vendors simultaneously all at the same time. And I would let them know what my monthly, quarterly, and annual objectives were, right? Well, I can tell you real quick the difference between a vendor and a partner, right? Because those partners after that meeting would come back to me with just great ideas and great strategies on how they could assist me in meeting my goals and objectives. Well, the vendors were on the lines of here's a box, have a nice day. So I'm really excited for you guys to hear from Christian and Brian from Demand Local, where they really dive deep into how you can select the best partner for your advertising efforts. So let's go ahead and get this party started, guys.
There are marketing ways, and there's a lot of people out here who are really smart about doing it.
How do premium publishers and data partners build that trust?
Just like we're trying to build brands for dealers and dealers are trying to build your own brand, these publishers had to be very careful with the messages we said and what we talked about. I've never personally sold cars, but I've been talking to car dealers for 20 years. You're going to need me and some other people to talk about because I know social media, but I'm not an influencer myself, right? So that's not my specialty, but I dive into data all day. As a dealer, you want to service your customers and be really good to them. We want to do the same thing, and all your partners should want to do the same thing. If you have a social presence, that data starts feeding in. You can do so much more with that data, sending it to Google or sending it to Facebook, using it on your CTV ads across all these networks.
Probably the most competitive vertical when it comes to marketing.
People have shifted, buyers all over, they're on different platforms. You need to find and focus on that buyer.
To the Strategy with Jason podcast. Tune in for everything you need to know regarding the automotive industry. Here's your host, Jason Harris.
Hey, what's going on, Automotive Nation? It is Jason Harris here, and thank you for joining me on another episode of the Game Changer Seminar. And you are a game changer because you are here. You're watching and listening to this now, and that makes you a game changer. Guys, I am so excited about this next session. I think, for years for me as a dealer, one of the biggest, keys to my success in operations was really ensuring that I had vendor partners, right? And it's not always easy to find a partner in this industry. And I am so very excited to have both Christian and Brian from Demand Local come up here, and we're going to really get into the nitty and gritty on what does it take to find that right partner that's ultimately going to support your operations and your objectives. Hey guys, real quick, everyone, a big round of hand for Brian and Christian. Guys, come on up. All right, guys, you ready for this? You ready to do this?
Ready.
Okay.
Hey, Jason.
Hey, guys, you're going to enjoy this one.
All right. Well, first off, thanks for Jason setting up this great event, another great successful game changer event here in beautiful Nashville with a great setting here at the Analog Studios. Brian, what do you think of this, the stage setup here?
Super cool. I don't know that I'm at the caliber to be on this stage since I have no musical talent, but I'll do my best to tell you some dorky tech stuff.
Okay, perfect. Well, first off, I'm Christian. I'm the VP of Automotive Sales here at Demand Local. And for those that don't know Demand Local, we are a full-service ad tech and media agency based in San Francisco, and we've been providing digital marketing solutions for automotive dealers on the Tier 2 and Tier 3 side since 2008. And I'm actually here with Brian Schrader, who is our Chief Product Officer, who I've actually had the pleasure of working with for, over 20 years. So we met back in 2004. We worked together at a company called Jumpstart Automotive Media. Now they operate under the name of Hearst Autos, and essentially we were one of the first automotive ad networks out there in the automotive industry, representing brands like NADA Guides, Car and Driver, Road and Track, and we had access to automotive behavioral targeting. One of the first to provide, display advertising ads to dealerships with behavioral targeted marketing. And we've been in the game for a long time together. Over those 20 years, we've seen many shifts and milestones in auto. We started in 2004 faxing new and used car leads to dealerships. We went to, one of the first to provide.
I missed the fax. It was fun. It would come in. Deal dongs.
Yeah, we've got e-faxes. I don't know if they're still around, but that's what we were using back then, right? But we were, like I mentioned earlier, one of the first to provide behaviorally targeted ads to dealerships. And now we're to the point where we're able to de-anonymize site visitors on dealership websites, right? We lived through 2008 during Cash for Clunkers. We went through the crazy, dealership record margins in 2021 with the chip shortage, and now we're in this EV kind of craze, and we're just looking forward to seeing what else is to come. And I'll give Brian a little bit of an opportunity to kind of age himself a little bit here. So, Brian.
Yeah, if the gray hair doesn't do it enough, we didn't look this way 20 years ago. But my story is similar. When we were at that automotive ad network selling leads in the beginning, a ton of SEM experience where we were buying Google ads at volume really early, running a whole team, and that moved us. It moved my journey into the pub side. So I had spent some time on the publisher side, Car and Driver, Road and Track, working with them, and then on the motorcycle side. Right? Remember, I was gone for a while. But I love the ad tech side, and I'm back over here to think about ad tech. So, I'm that dorky side of this relationship where I look at all those audiences and all those numbers and everything we buy and how we do it and what we make. But I'm excited, right? There's a lot of cool stuff going on in the industry.
Very exciting. Everything's fast-paced. Everything's moving really quickly these days. And over those 20 years, I think one of the things that we learned in retail automotive is that retail automotive is probably the most competitive vertical when it comes to marketing, right? So today we're going to discuss. Today we're going to spend some time discussing how to cut through some of those noises around marketing, the ad tech, data, performance tracking, and hopefully give you guys a guide and some substance behind, when you're vetting and going through the process of talking and choosing the right marketing partners and the marketing vendors out there. So we'll start with an easy one, Brian. We'll start with, what excites you most about helping dealerships succeed in today's marketing industry?
Yeah, it's really interesting because choosing vendors and partners and all of us that are involved with this industry, there's people here today that are amazing. You're going to need to work with more people than ever. You're going to have a lot of people who you need to rely on. But the industry's fun. There is social, there is video, there's CTV. It's all like getting bigger and bigger every day and more out there, and the people have shifted. The buyers all over, they're on different platforms. You need to find and focus on that buyer, but more than ever, you have an opportunity to target that buyer, even as cookies disappear. But it's still like, there are marketing ways, and there's a lot of people out here who are really smart about doing it, and you can connect the dots and have a bunch of people who can help your dealerships or even non-dealers, to do this.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the last 5 years we've seen just a huge explosion on marketing capabilities. The ad tech has gone through the roof, and there's a lot of challenges out there right now that dealerships are facing. A lot of marketing challenges, but with challenges come opportunities, right? So let's spend a little bit of time on some of those challenges. You've got fragmented marketing channels and different platforms out there that audiences are exposing themselves to. We're trying to figure out where to spend your ad dollars. You've got growing customer expectations, the "I want that now" mentality. You've got changing customer shopping behaviors. You've also got, like I mentioned before, the advancements in technology. And with the advancements of technology, there's just been a huge growth in marketing capabilities, tactics, and strategies. And with that growth comes the growth of marketing options when it comes to marketing vendors and partners, right? So with that being said, what are some of the biggest obstacles that dealerships face when trying to stand out today?
Well, I think it gets really hard for a dealership to have enough people internally to get everywhere, to be doing a social platform with all their salespeople, to figure out what to put on their emails, to deal with selling the cars, desking the cars. I mean, there is so many things that the dealer has to do, and there's so many things that an agency or a marketing partner or a team of partners has to do as well. Our work's gotten harder. I said to you the other day, I mean, it is so much harder for our people to set up a campaign than it used to be, because my expectations of what they set up aren't the same as they were 5 years ago, even 2 years ago.
Sure.
They have to set something up that's more. And so this is a big obstacle for dealers to come in. Some dealers have been really good. Some of these big groups are really good at building teams out and doing this. But a lot of you, and especially smaller dealerships, you're going to need a support team to help, and you're going to need multiple partners and vendors to work together, connect the dots for you. Because we have 20 years of experience. I've never personally sold cars, but I've been talking to car dealers for 20 years. You're going to need me and some other people to talk about, because I know social media, but I'm not an influencer myself, right? So that's not my specialty, but I dive into data all day. And so that part of it is hard, right? You can't do it all, Mr. Dealer. You need help.
You need help, and you're going to need help from multiple partners and multiple vendors. The days of a one-stop shop is those days are kind of gone, and I think you've got to find folks that are vendors and partners that are working with each other, and there's so many marketing partner options out there these days. In your eyes, kind of what are some of the signs of a good partner, and what are some of the signs of or red flags that dealerships should be on the lookout for when they're vetting and choosing their next marketing partner or vendor?
Well, I'm a data guy, so a good sign is data. Are they working with data? Are they dealing with that? Can they give you some sort of tracking? Are they saying that the messages to you that are getting you the reports that you need to run your business, and having a good team on their side too that can go through that? But if they're also willing to play with other partners, right? I mean, every day, like I said, there's people in this room that we work with that help us on for our dealers or for our non-dealers. There's people we help to do some of their stuff. And so that connecting those dots becomes really important. And so I look for those partners who are open and trustworthy on that. And then the same way I evaluate partners for ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in our industry, there's a lot of partnerships that are happening kind of behind the scenes, but that's how we kind of made our name in the game. It's kind of we work with a lot of agencies and media partners, kind of really staying behind the scenes. But over the last several years, we've seen collaboration become more transparent these days, right? And I think the collaboration is a key word there when you're vetting your marketing vendors. You want to be able to make sure that you're working with vendors that have relationships or existing relationships or have the ability to work with other marketing vendors out there. You touched on a really, really important thing there, which is data, right? And first-party data specifically has been on the top of every marketer's mind for at least the last 4 or 5 years. You've got the stories of cookie apocalypse or cookies going away. And
one day, maybe.
One day, maybe, yeah. Well, ask Google, right?
Yeah.
But I think so that we're all on the same page. Can you first define exactly what first-party data is and the role that it plays in making marketing decisions today?
Yeah, and I'm going to try to do this without getting too dorky here, because there's lots of types of data, and I think everyone has a definition of first-party data in their mind, like that's the dealer's data or the brand's data. But that data can feel daunting to people, I think. Oh, well, what is my first-party data? And you can watch some of these other seminars, and there's going to be people talking about social data and all of that, and website data, and that's all your first-party data. If you have a social presence, that data starts feeding in, those leads start coming in, and you know where they came from. That can be considered your first-party data. You have all of these signals coming from your website, so you know people who were on your VDP pages. You can filter these people apart, and you can really start to use it. I think most people look at this as like, oh, I'm emailing my people. You can do so much more with that data, from sending it to Google or sending it to Facebook or using it on, or pulling from those, using it on your CTV ads across all these networks, so many choices. So it really does empower you to make good decisions, but to look at that, and those are your customers, right? And that customer is probably a really good signal for your next customer that you might be looking for.
Yeah, so when you're saying first-party data, your customers, I know obviously we're talking about customers in your DMS systems, your CRM systems, and one of the acronyms out there that has been talked about a lot lately has been CDPs, right? So moving audience data from one platform to another, sharing that data with other marketers and marketing processes and tactics out there. So can you talk a little bit about moving that data from the CRM to from the CRM and DMS to marketing channels from vendor to vendor?
For sure. I mean, I would say 4 or 5 years ago, no dealer would have ever talked about their DMS data being movable, and now we're seeing dealers every day willing to share that data. That leads into one of our tools. Like, we build a tool for that idea to build out the connection, so we can connect to CDK, for example, or to some other vendors out there, and pull in through some APIs. And then we have your DMS data, and now we're storing your first party data, acting like a CDP. There's a lot of choices out there in this world for what CDP you have, but what you want, you have a bunch of information, and it might feel daunting to try to start collecting it. But if you start now, we can pull that in, somebody can pull that into your system, and then you can push that. And so now you can filter it or do whatever you want, but you have this opportunity to speak to that audience, right? And that audience becomes yours. So you've built, or maybe you've spent all your training time on teaching your team to be social and do these things and make your brand better. Well, you're going to pull that in, and now we can start targeting those people with ads. And if you've built yourself a brand, they're going to see you, and that just empowers them. Like, they remember, right? They remember you more, and you're building that audience. So you're speaking to your current customers, but you're also using that data to find new customers.
New customers, right?
Someone similar. Like, why are you and I similar, and why are we different?
Lookalike modeling is something that everybody talks about these days, right? So you had mentioned earlier, like, the old school thinking about first party data is like, hey, we've got this customer database, let's email them, right? Email marketing campaigns against them. But we can do so much more with those audiences, market to them directly, or use them as a seed audience, which is, I think, a keyword that we use a lot internally, and basically using that audience as a seed audience to build a lookalike audience, which is basically finding more people like the people that already know us, that have already purchased from us, that are familiar with us, because those lookalike audiences are more likely to purchase from us or become a customer to us in the future, right?
Yeah, and it can go to be, oh, I think this person's like us based on X signals, or this person, or the machines go out and look for it, and we use tons of tools to try to find that perfect person. But there's more to it. You can then say, this group of people that we set up are, I don't know, Lexus SUV buyers over the last 10 years. Let's find not just people who look like them, but let's go look at other audiences. And there's this huge world of third-party audiences. And by having, like what you said, the seed, or by having this core set of your own audience that has attributes of some way, you're able to say, well, what other one of these audiences is really similar to this? Put it in the machine and then test it. And because you're also pulling your data back, now we're thinking and looking at like that data again and saying, well, that audience looked similar in the beginning, but we could start making choices that it wasn't similar later.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, so staying on the data subject, a dealer's database contains highly sensitive customer information, right? They're very protective over it. You had just mentioned, 2-3 years ago, there's no way a dealership was going to give us access to their DMS or CRM systems. Now, it's been a little bit of an easier process these days, but that data, when it's being handled, especially by third-party vendors or marketing partners, should always be handled with the highest level of security, right? So when dealers are vetting marketing partners, what are some of the key points around data integration, data activation, and data security when the dealerships are considering marketing partners?
This is important, right? Like, when we started looking at data and we're like, we want to pull in people's first party data. That's your name, your email, your family, your, and dealers have SS numbers and credit cards and all sorts of things. Please, most of your marketing partners don't need those. Like what we're all looking for is emails and phone numbers and connecting the dots between Christian's household and your story and my household and my story, and then those people who we're friends with. And the emails and all of that need to be treated, SOC 2 compliance is what the big people use, right? And we focused on that, right? Like whether you're in medical and it's HIPAA, you're in California and CCPA, there's new US Data Privacy Acts. But this is important, right? And vendors should be taking this seriously because one breach is too many breaches, right? And we're already seeing in the auto industry, there's already been some situations happening. And what we want to do is try our best to make sure we're set up for that. And there are some really good guidelines out there that you can follow. So like I said, SOC 2, HIPAA, CCPA, and I know this is a concerning topic, right? We have a bunch of vendors saying, putting fear tactics, but there are safe ways to move data, and those data gets de-anonymized, stored, encrypted, all of those things. And so if your vendor's talking about this stuff, they're trying to do that. They have things set up, and it's important to make sure that, you're looking, but that they show you that, establish that trust with you as well.
Yeah, so I think with that being said, if you're talking to a potential media vendor or marketing partner, if they're asking you to send over a raw list of customers downloaded from your CRM or DMS via Excel.
This is what API connections are for, right?
Exactly.
There's way more secure ways to do this. There's a bunch of people who can move data in a really secure way that, the internet is doing this at a bigger scale than most dealers are, right? The average dealer, we're talking about first party data, average dealer that we see, if you have 100,000 of your own customers, that you're good, right? And now groups will have more than that, but let's be honest, go back in time, how many cars have you sold? How many people are we really looking at? So that can be kind of comparative to how much data Disney Plus has, for example, right?
Absolutely.
They know all of us, and so does Google, and so does Meta. So
yeah, and a lot of times we're working with dealer, not just individual like rooftops, but we're talking about, major dealer groups that have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of line items of data that's coming over to us that we're processing. So I think data security has definitely got to be something that you guys should, or dealer viewers should be considering when you guys are interviewing and vetting marketing vendors and partners, right? So we've discussed so far the power of a dealer's database, securely integrating that data into their actual marketing, methods to activate those audiences through technologies like CDPs and everything. So now let's get into the actual ad placements, right? So can you talk a little bit about why where ads run is just as important as who sees them?
Yeah, so we take an audience first approach, right? Which is why we started building all that data coming in, right? Make an integration with the CRM, make an integration with the DMS, and then we have audience first. And so you have these groups of people, and then you use that. But it's also key that you're buying that audience in places that you want your brand to be seen, because there is value of being next to something, right? There's value to being on a shopper site like Car and Driver. We used to work there. I was a vertical ad network, and we saw that value. And so there's value being next to words that are important to your brand. And whether it's Hyundai or other things that the OEM sponsoring and that you're next to, or whether it's just being on the channel, or, I think Jason and I were talking soccer earlier, just being around that might be the right answer, or might be something that aligns with your brand. And so you can find audience and publishers that you want with that audience first play, right? So you can get A and B and kind of really be there. But also, we talked about security. There's the whole other bad side of the internet where there's a ton of cheap inventory out there, and you have vendors who might be chasing cheap stuff, which isn't necessarily the right place to be. And there's there's publishers making fake websites all over, games, blah, 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 ads made for advertising, right? Just eats impressions.
Yeah, so let's touch on, trustworthiness of publishers and ad placements for a second here. So how do premium publishers and data partners like top streaming platforms and news publishers and major networks, how do they build that trust with these customers?
So, I mean, just like we're trying to build brands for dealers and dealers are trying to build your own brand, these publishers have I was there, right? We spent all day making content on the motorcycle side. We spent tons of time in the industry, and then we had to be very careful with the messages we said and what we talked about, because building an audience there is just as important as it is for any brand. And those guys, once they do that, then there's also vetting, right? Where do we buy from? Where do your partners buy from? There's different pub networks out there, and you can layer on levels of security too. So you have the publisher trying their best, but there's always going to be someone out there making a game or doing something silly that you don't want. But you can also, layer on third-party data streams and make sure that data gets, security compliance stuff.
Got it. Absolutely. So now we're at a point where the marketing is actually happening, right? We're building custom audience segments based off of the data that we have access to, or that the marketing vendors have.
Different ID numbers, audience found someone like yourself and was the right audience. So you can look at the audience, you can look at the website, you can look at what campaign they were in, so that our builders who are making stuff can make a decision to optimize for that person next time.
Yeah, and I think, a little bit of my second question, which is basically can you talk a little bit about the advancements in attribution technology and ID resolution that's changed how marketers and dealerships are making marketing decisions, right? Maybe go into a little bit about how our Link One platform, which is something that we built internally, gives us and our dealerships the ability to kind of identify which ads, which tactics, in what ad sequences are actually generating leads and actual like customer sales. So go into a little bit about the technology behind that.
Yeah, so without getting too overly dorky, this one's really interesting because if we were talking about earlier, connect your DMS, right?
Yep.
So now we know that person's name, we know their email, right? And we know that emails work in hashed emails. We want to keep them secure, so we're hashing emails on the way out. But you're the dealership, or the ultimate advertiser is the owner of that first party data that we talked about. And because you own that, that person has a relationship with you, we can go back and look for signals from all of our partners, all of our vendors, everyone we're buying on behalf of. And so there are identification methods with hashed emails or other ID systems, and that CDP function that we discussed, right? Whether your partner has a CDP and you can connect those dots and then look back at the impressions you purchased, or go back to Google and say, well, was this person in my funnel? So there'll be multiple versions of this, right? Where you have what Google and Meta are willing to share with you, which is less, but there's also versions where you can say, you know what, Christian, I saw you bought a car. Look, Christian saw over the last 180 days, he saw 12 of your ads, and we'll know that he saw them in this audience. And so then we know that audience found someone like yourself and was the right audience. So you can look at the audience, you can look at the website, you can look at what campaign they were in, so that our builders who are making stuff can make a decision to optimize for that person next time.
Yeah, and I think, with how we work with our dealerships, me specifically, my dealerships get really excited when I'm able to share the transparency of their individual customer journeys, right? So we have the ability to kind of show them that Brian at demandlocal.com saw this ad, and then he saw this ad, and then he saw this ad, and then he submitted a lead after he saw this ad, and then he saw these ads 3 more times, and then eventually he purchased the vehicle. And that's all identified through our secure integrations with the dealership CRM system, DMS systems, all communicating back to our programmatic marketing campaigns.
Right. And I think that as we discuss like what's happening in the broader industry, like this has changed, right? People got scared of cookies. People don't want to put tags, but there's a way to do some matching to your customers back to the purchase and back to the ads they saw, regardless of pixels, regardless of all these other things that come up in this tech world. But as we were talking about partnerships, this one's really made me just think like it's so what we're talking about is complicated, and I'm sure none of you want to know how to hash an email. You're not going to want to do that at your dealership. You're not going to go to your DMS and hash all those emails and put them in a storage solution and create a database and do all this other stuff. I really recommend you don't do it yourself, and that's what you're finding those partners to do. This is my daily life, is living in there and a dev team. So you need to find someone who's willing to help you through that, because you'll be able to connect the dots and get answers to questions that you couldn't answer before.
I think finding marketing vendors and ad tech partners that are able to, transparently connect those dots, share that information with you, is a really key thing here, because they use that information and that transparency to essentially optimize their campaigns to generate more leads and more sales, versus just optimizing campaigns to generate more clicks and views, right?
Right. I mean, you don't have to focus on the click. That's just one part of that person's journey. And you're never going to know 100% of those people, but you can focus on those signals to say, oh, cool, Brian and Christian bought their cars already, but here's the next group of people, or here is the thing that led them to buying that car, right? Or one of the influential things. Oh, they saw something on TikTok, and then you saw them on your site, and then we hit them again with a CTV ad across the Spectrum channels, or we put them on ESPN, or they had something on Spotify, right? Those dots get connected, and again, you look for that pattern, and then it lets that media buying team focus your stuff in, and ideally what you can do with that is reduce waste, right? And speak, like what we were saying, speak to that customer and harbor that relationship that you have with someone who bought a car from you, because then they're still your customer. You want them to come back for service. You have other ways of making money. You need to establish a relationship. You want their spouse or their family or their mom to buy a car from you as well.
Right. So far we've discussed importance of first-party data, ad tech to securely activate that first-party data. We're talking about credible publishers to reach your actual audience, and then also ingesting transparent campaign data to optimize your campaigns for performance. But we also hear time and time again that service and communication are critical factors when selecting a partner, right? So same thing on the dealership side, right? So the dealerships, their customer base, they're not, their customers, they're not buying cars from their dealerships or servicing their vehicles with that dealership just because they're the cheapest or they're the closest. The dealerships are providing that customer experience, right? And marketing partners and vendors should be doing the same thing for their dealership. So advertising technology is important, but service matters just as much. So why should dealerships look for strong service and partnership and communication and integration as opposed to just the latest tech stack out there?
Yeah, the tech stack's important and it gets that person there, but you need that group of people who you trust and who are responsive to you and who come in here and want to win with you, right? We sign on a new dealer and I'm all about it. Like, well, hey, what does this dealer have already? What don't they have? We had recently a bunch of people come on. They have so many GTMs on their site. They don't even know. They don't have anyone at the shop who even looks at that stuff. And we have teams for that, but so do other vendors, and there are people who are willing to help you with that. But there are also vendors out there who don't have time. You're part of that. Maybe you price shopped us all out so much that there's not time to have them put a dedicated resource. And I think just like you, as a dealer, you want to service your customers and be really good to them. we want to do the same thing, and all your partners should want to do the same thing. And like I said earlier, we're going to need partners too.
Yeah.
We need some of the other people you work with to talk to us, or them to talk to each other. And that just having a good team is so important.
Yeah, I think for us, what gets me really excited is that, partnership is a two-way street, right? It's not us looking for clients and us looking for clients, just looking for vendors. We're looking for partners for on our end as well, right? We're looking for clients and partners that are going to help us and push us to become better partners for you guys and for our other partners as well.
Always, right? What your vendors should be learning from you along the way, and being like your every dealer situation is unique. I mean, like you said, 20 years. I mean, I sold leads to dealers, then I sold them SEM, and then we worked on their Google ads, and it's been unique. And there's 70 new ad products coming tomorrow, things we've never thought about. And your dealer has its own unique problems. Perhaps it was struggling for a while, and you sold, and you're a new group, or whatever that problem is. It's important to kind of like have someone who is going to move the needle for you a little bit.
Yeah.
Right, and build something. And so, but also some of the best ideas come from those problems.
Absolutely. I mean, sitting in rooms with clients on a consistent basis and just asking them, hey, Mr. Dealer or Mrs. Dealer, what's some of your biggest pain points? What can I help with? Right. A lot of those times, a lot of those times, products that weren't necessarily on our product roadmap or features in our platform will come from those conversations.
For sure. I mean, I think we and a bunch of other people are building stuff every day, right? And there are the best ideas that can that seem so simple, and then all of a sudden it becomes something that a lot of people want to use. And each dealer is unique, but they have they have some of the stuff that's the same. And so we've gone out and built something custom, and we do a little non-auto too. And so we had a big fintech company who needed X, Y, and Z.
Yep.
We built that in, and we're like, wait, this is so relatable to the auto side. Let's put that data in here for them to use as well.
Absolutely. So, Jason, how are we doing on time? Okay, perfect. So we can recap and wrap it up really quickly here. So I think some of the four key things that we talked about was basically smart and secure use of data. When you're considering vendors and marketing partners, make sure that they're using your data, they're talking about data, they're processing that data.
Both to use it as a signal and to use it for reporting, right? It is two things. Data becomes audience, data becomes reports.
1000%.
Or execution, right? Like, how do you finish and win?
Yep. Cheapest rates aren't always the best. You want to make sure that you're on premium media placement. You're placing.
There's a reason that's the cheapest sport in the country. For example, it's probably got some issues.
Yep. So we've got smart and secure use of data. We've got premium media placements, and then transparent and measurable outcomes. Right. You talked about that a little bit earlier with using that data coming in to optimize our campaigns to generate more sales and leads, not just clicks and views. And then obviously a strong commitment to service, communication, and a big one is collaboration. Right. Work with vendors that are open to working with other vendors.
Yeah, you need to talk to people.
Exactly.
And they're going to need to talk to you on a frequent basis, so don't look to set it and forget it, because you need to communicate with us, and we need to communicate with you, and so to everyone else you're working with. And introduce us to who else you're working with, right?
Yeah.
Or introduce those vendors to each other, because your website guy is going to need to talk to the other
Everybody
person.
needs to be on the same page when they're working with you as a dealer, right? So to wrap up our session here, and as we close the door on 2025, what's the one piece of advice you'd give our dealer viewers when planning their marketing strategies for 2026?
Well, it's 2025, and there's AI in every conversation. I don't think we've mentioned it yet at all. Not because I'm not thinking about AI or using AI in every statement, but if you watched an Apple talk or a Google talk, you got AI, AI, AI. It was like repetitive jokes. Be careful. Like, there are so many cool things AI can do for you, and I'm so excited, and it's getting integrated into everyone's tools rapidly. But when I look at my Instagram feed, it is filled with promises that AI is going to do everything for me. And there are AI things coming across my desk every day from everyone who works with us. All of our own employees are using it all day long, right? We're writing papers and docs. And so we're talking about picking the right people. I'm not saying that there's not an awesome AI vendor that I've never heard of, that it doesn't come out tomorrow and kick butt in this industry. But really kind of examine what they're getting and like think about all the things we've talked about, and are you going to get those from that partner? Are they going to be able to support you? And does their AI enhance their team, right? Does it come back and enhance your so careful picking the next best thing because it looks cool and shiny on your Instagram feed or your social feed, but just do some because there's a bit of manpower behind that too.
Absolutely. Well, Brian, thank you very much, and everybody, thanks for listening to us.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, guys, everyone, big applause for Christian and Brian. Guys, that was fun, man. Yeah. Really love it. Hey, for everybody out there watching and listening right now, we appreciate you. This has been a lot of fun, and I think you guys got a lot to think about and talk about. So hang out just a little longer. We're going to go into a Q&A. These guys are going to join me real fast, and we're going to answer because I know I had questions listening to these guys, but I know the importance of finding a vendor partner. It was one of the keys to my success as a dealer operator, and I know for this year it needs to be part of your strategy and planning as well. So, guys, thank you so much. We appreciate you. Let's get into some Q&A. All right, guys.
Thanks for tuning in to the
There we go. My mic was muted. Hey, everyone, what's up? All right, let's get Christian up here real quick. Here we go. Hey, what's going on, man? How you doing? Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, man. I think Brian should be in here also.
Okay, well, he comes in. I'm going to throw him up here, right? But all I can say is, wow. What a show up. Like there, selecting the best partner for your advertising efforts in 2026 must have seriously resonated with dealers out there, because man, did we have a good chunk of people join us for this session, man. This was a really good session. I appreciate you, by the way, coming out to Nashville. Did you have fun when you were in Nashville?
It was awesome. Yeah, it was my second time there. I was there. I was telling you, I was there over the summer. I took my two daughters and my wife over there. We had a good time. This trip was a little bit shorter, but I still got my hot chicken in there, so it was good.
That's right. You got to get your hot chicken, guys. Absolutely. Yep. I try to send it out to people for holiday gifts. It doesn't work well. Hey, Christian, man, I know it's been a while since we recorded that and you saw it. Was there anything that you kind of went like, oh yeah, that was a good one? Was there anything that really kind of stuck out for you before we get to some of the Q&A?
I mean, I thought it sounded really good. It looked really good. The stage was awesome. It looked even better once it was all edited and put together. I thought it was really good. I think, even though that was just about several weeks back, it's all that information is still super relevant, especially with the timing right now, as all the dealerships and the agencies and media partners and marketing vendors were all, trying to end the year really strong and start the year really strong. And it's perfect timing, right? So, and I know dealerships are, we really thought about the subject that we wanted to talk about, because this is right around the time where dealerships are getting bombarded by cold calls, cold emails, LinkedIn messaging, and there's so many new ad tech companies out there with all this new AI coming out there. And one of the things that we really help our dealerships and agencies and partners go through is kind of like who to really trust, what to really look for, what are the red flags, what are the green flags, and how do we get everybody working together and on the same page to help that dealership.
100%. Hey, Brian.
Hi. Sorry. I was in, another stream.
No, dude, it's all good. We were just talking. We're talking a little bit about Nashville hot chicken sandwich. Then we're just talking a little bit about the holidays, and we were just insanely impressed for everybody out there still watching and listening. And man, there's a lot of you still out there watching and listening right now. I know this resonates with you. It's the reason why when you got the email, you clicked on this and decided to come in and watch it, Brian. There's a lot. This has been the biggest stream that we've had so far. So selecting the best partner for your advertising efforts in 2026 is definitely something that everyone is very much so interested in. Hey, look, you guys have submitted some great questions. Maybe a few I can't mention. No, I'm just kidding. Maybe some of y'all need to use some spell check. That's all I'm going to say. No, I'm just kidding. It's fine. I get text. I'm the worst at it, all right? But we do have some great questions. Let's get into our first one, which I think is a great one, right? Holiday season is loud. How do we make sure our ads don't get drowned out? Great question. Brian, I'll start with you, then Christian, I'll get your thoughts on this as well.
Sure.
Yeah, I think this is the time. This is the reason for that first party audience. This is like, there's so much noise out there. There's everyone putting in their Q4 budgets. Here come all the big guys saying, I'm going to dump the rest of my Q4 budget through and like finish my year off strong. So there is noise, but you keep that same tactic, right? Who are you targeting? It's the right audience. And where did you want to be? And what has your strategy been? And to continue that momentum through there. That's for the display side, right? Like the CTV and display side. So the tactic is right? Like hit those same people who you've been trying to find, because they're the ones who are showing the signal and intent to be buyers. And you're trying to get them to come down and convert at that last minute.
Intent. It's all about. It's not the spray and pray, right? It's all about intent. Christian, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, we've got, two types of dealerships, right? You got the big guys with unlimited budgets.
Yep.
And you've got kind of like those smaller guys, and maybe even some of those smaller guys that are outside of those major metro markets.
And a fair amount of them are probably listening right now, 100%.
Right. So I think what Brian said, I'll kind of, piggyback off of that. And basically it's going to be the targeting, right? You want to target, you want to be loud, but you want to also focus on the folks that are willing to listen to what you have to say, right? So I think that's where first party data comes into play, to make sure that you're targeting everybody that is willing to listen to you, and that you should be reaching with your messaging.
No, you're 100% right. I mean, look, for years, I would say at least a decade, all right, our industry has kind of been stuck in this, let's call it a channel strategy, where really I'm just checking off proverbial boxes, right? Like, okay, YouTube, check, Meta, check, Instagram, check, and it's like, really what I'm doing is I'm targeting the channels. I'm not, to Brian, to your point, and to Christian, your point, I'm not targeting the person that's actually intent, right? Like, do I really care at the end of the day what channels that person is actually on, when I should just really be thinking about that individual? Wouldn't you guys agree?
Absolutely.
There are people in market right now, like maybe not as many as there are during the summer or whatever reasons, in some places it's starting to snow, but there are people who are putting out signals that they're in market, and you got to keep yourself in front of them, and this is convince them that this is just as good a time as any.
Yeah, I think what kind of the mentality that we have is that we're a publisher and channel agnostic, right? We don't care where our ads are showing up, as long as they're showing up to the people that need to be seeing them.
Well, and I think for everybody out there watching, listening, and you guys definitely got this, through this session, is when you guys are selecting a partner, and boy, you're going to hear me use that word a lot, because there's a big difference between a partner and a vendor. A vendor is the one that will gladly help you check off those proverbial boxes, right? Check. A partner is going to really understand your audience, your demographic, where you live, all right, what you're selling, really truly understand your objections, and then work your way backwards to finding the right audience that's in market that's going to help meet those objectives, sorry. Okay, I got another one. I like this one. All right. Okay, guys, real talk. What ads actually bring ups in right now? Because we spending money, but I ain't seeing the bodies. I love this question. This is a good one. All right, guys. Brian, I'll start with you, and Christian, I'll add you.
Sure.
Your thoughts on this? Look, I get this. I feel their pain. I've done this, right? Like I've spent money, right? Not sure what ads are actually bringing the ups, in right now. So thoughts, guys. What do you got?
This is always the question, right? We're always looking at everyone's ads saying, oh, what could drive that instant gratification kind of feeling that we all love so much? I believe in this always like strategy of having your CTV ads on, and they should have been on. And if they've ramped up, you have this idea, your display ads are there. But there are Facebook marketing live events that you can do. There are email channels. Like you can't just turn on your SEO campaign right now and like hope that it's going to come in for December. And I would say if your CTV is not on, you could put a big push on that and see if you can drive in some of those final shoppers and see if you could do that. But the signals, that click type signal that you would see in your Google Analytics or in some of that, those click type signals are going to come from the Meta and SEM world. But you have to drive that influence, right? You're going to run out of stuff there, and you're going to need to drive that influence, and you're going to need to have that combination. So do a Facebook Messenger link, keep your CTV on, do some live ads on there, like get your TikTok going, keep going with all of that. So you're pushing your offer out through all your channels. But it's still that combo, right? And you can do a big push at the end of the year to get in a bunch of CTV ads. Maybe you have a special, maybe you are capable, maybe your OEMs drop some cool specials. And if you're capable of doing that, you can drive some influence that way.
And I love the big push back to the big screen, guys. When I first started in the industry, it was about the big screen, right? It was the Trunk Monkey, it was the Badger, it was, just good fun, big screen, creative, right? Now I'm glad to see we're coming back. Christian, anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of dealerships that we talk to, they'll kind of give what's called like last click attribution, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like whoever submitted that lead, that can do a one-on-one connection to that lead. That the dealership used as reporting to see that lead in the CRM. That's who usually gets the credit for that lead generation or that up, right? But we also know that all of that, all of the upper funnel marketing strategies that Brian is talking about is influencing those last click attribution leads and ups and metrics of the sort. So I think one of the things that dealerships should be looking out for are partners out there that can identify that attribution connection between some of those upper funnel marketing tactics like CTV, like streaming radio, like your traditional display ads, and actually show like, hey, this so-and-so customer saw these sequence of ads in this order, in this time frame, and then eventually submitted a lead and then eventually purchased a car, right? So in the session, we talked about attribution tracking, right? So look for a good quality ad tech partner out there, maybe like a Demand Local, that can show you that customer journey, right? Because there's not a lot of companies out there that can say, CTV is one of the big marketing pushes going on right now. A lot of dealerships are investing a lot of budget into that, and that's something that we truly believe in. And one of the things that kind of separates us is us being able to show that, hey, these customers in your DMS that bought a car, here's when they saw our CTV ads, when they bought them, what they did once they saw them. Here's the other ads that they saw after they saw those CTV ads. Here's when they ended up in your CRM, and then here's when they ended up in your DMS, right? So being able to connect all of those dots from the beginning to end is what dealerships should be looking for.
Yeah. That's actually a really good point. If you're working with a real partner out there, they'll show you the real attribution, right? And everybody's got a slightly different approach to the model. But that's okay, right? But there is commitment to actual attribution. If you're out there watching, listening right now, if you're working with a vendor and you're just getting impressions and clicks and views and CTRs and CPCs and CPLs and CPAs and whatever other three-lettered acronym they can come up with, I want to start shopping for another partner.
Yeah, I was going to say, CTV is more trackable than ever. The market's more fragmented than ever. Did Netflix buy HBO or not? Like, this is crazy, that world that we live in right now with all how we consume TV. So that's opened what linear had a really strong hold on is now like distributed around this programmatic world. And it's very different than it was buying this 20 years ago. It's like, I got my TV guy. He's got access.
He's got access, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is, you don't know. See, here's the thing. You don't know in that household which one of 300 different streaming solutions that individual, everyone always thinks of Netflix and Disney and Hulu and all these other ones right there. You know what's played in my house a lot? I can't remember the name of it. So my kids are big soccer fans, right? And, it's Argentina is their biggest, and there's several different teams over there. So we watched the Spanish soccer streaming network, and I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. But here's the thing. If you actually looked at the data, there's about nothing that would indicate that I would actually be watching that inside my household.
Right.
If you were targeting my household, though, that would come up as one of those positions because it's played in our house a lot because my kids are always watching it. So, for everybody out there watching, listening, don't think you just know, because it blows my mind how many people are watching Boo Boo or Peacock or 100 of these different other
things we've never thought about. LG channels, Samsung channels, Pluto, like these are free things. What is LG channels? Well, LG wants to sell ads too, so they put things on their TVs that are free to you. That world, but if your audience targeting, those signals are there and you can still hit those people, and you can still hit those people, and you could be more cost effective there, because if you say, Brian, I want to target my audience, and 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 I want to target my audi I need to be on ESPN on the Alabama game, I'm going to look at you and say, yeah, and maybe you want to be on the Super Bowl too, and that's going to cost you thousands. What does the Super Bowl ad cost? $8 million? An Alabama game costs something more than your kids watching Spanish football or soccer, sorry. But like, you know, if that situation, that opportunity, because you're using audience, still allows you to go out and find a variety of different costs as well.
And I think that's key, guys. For everyone out there watching and listening, you're thinking of 2026. All right, find a partner, all right, that thinks audience first, not channel first. All right. If you find in their demo that it's all about the channel, I think jump. Wouldn't you guys agree? Let's go find somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, they got to be able to look at your customers. And
okay, we got a few more questions, and they actually keep rolling in. I am quite post them. You guys see them on the right hand side.
Yep.
Okay, I like this one, retargeting, because as an industry, we pretty much spent, I can't even imagine how many millions of dollars have been spent over years in retargeting. So is retargeting still a thing, or is that money better somewhere else now?
I have a new opinion on this.
Oh,
you should be retargeting. I know it feels like I already got that person. Do you already have that person? Just because I talked to you on the phone, does that mean you're going to close the deal? No way. We don't win most of the deals we talk to, right? Like, you only win a percentage of those car people that you talk to. What's your lead closing rate? What's all that? So I'll give you a good example. That fintech company I mentioned, we talked to them. We didn't retarget for a long time at all. They were losing people. They were not converting through the funnel. There is a funnel to buying a car. There is a funnel to doing these offline things that takes time to get through. And you need to remind that person, you know what? Don't drive to the neighbor across the street, or do drive to the neighbor across the street, because they have this. And all the time that if you only saw that customer once and you don't continue to speak to them, they might sneak away from you. So that's
100%.
Keep retargeting, because those are your customers, and you want to keep your message. You can change your message. Use a special message for that group of people. Do something else, because remember, like Jason said, your audience targeting, that group of people can be a custom audience for you. You can pull all the first party stuff, and now they can get a different ad than those people who you're trying to get into your funnel who you've never seen before.
Yeah.
Christian, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah,
By the way,
I agree with that.
there's a lot of people watching right now, so they are really enjoying this Q&A session.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on the same page as Brian. Like, I totally agree that you should always be retargeting, right? It's inexpensive. You've already captured these customers. It's effective, but I think what's going to be key there is like what your retargeting message is, right? Like what Brian was talking about. Depending on where they're at and when they first saw your ads, you should determine what messaging that you're retargeting them with.
And then when I kind of think about that as well, retargeting, like, really old school. Like, first I went to school for marketing, and it's still true today. No matter what marketing you're doing, it's a reach and frequency game. Okay. Look, like, guys, I spend money on radio. I'm sure a lot of you people out there watching right now spent money on radio and TV. Okay. Well, look, you never went out and bought one single ad. Okay. You went out there and maximized your budget to reach and frequency. It's the same game. It's just reach and frequency against a specific audience. And now we can do it against multiple audiences, kind of what Brian was saying.
And reach and frequency across multiple channels too, right? Like
channel retargeting. Yeah, exactly.
And there's something to be said. Like, everyone asks me, what's the right reach and frequency? I mean, Christian's got a dealer who wants me to hit people 7 to 10 times. And then I got another person who's like, well, I only want to hit them once. I want new reach. And there's different ways to think about both of these things. But I would say that even if I hit someone 147 times, if that's what it takes for that person to determine that they're going to buy a $50,000 car, so be it. Like, and when you think about CPMs 100 times that one person, we are looking for that one person, right? We are trying to help that person make a decision that influences that influence about that person, right? So,
hey guys, I know we're getting towards the tail end of our hour, but we have so many people that are still on right now. If you guys are good with it, I'd like to at least do a couple more questions. Is that cool?
Yeah, I have time for a couple.
Okay. All right. I do like this one. And guys, we're getting some great questions. And I apologize if I don't get to your question. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take it. I'm going to put it in the notes underneath this, and we'll get back to and actually reply to them. So I'll put the question that you texted. By the way, thank you for everyone out there texting questions. And I really appreciate that's helping me stay very organized. But we'll make sure that we post those after the show and get those, and we can get those questions answered. All right. Here we go. What should dealers stop doing with ads right now? I like that one.
I'll add to that.
Okay.
We have a lot of dealerships that we always kind of advise against this, is that we'll run CTV ads or display ads or any kind of like any type of programmatic ads out there. And a lot of them will usually pause at the end of the month for the first week or so as they wait for OEM offers and incentives. We're in the mindset of that. Your ad should always be on, always stay in front of the customers. And if you don't have an offer that's valid at the moment, let's get some evergreen ads, running in that place while we wait for those offers to come in from the OEM. Like that's one of the main things
that's you don't want those pause and stop and start kind of a thing. I get it. That makes sense.
Yeah. You also kind of like a lot of some of the ad platforms out there, you'll lose momentum and you'll have to go into relearning stages or restart the ramp up stage when you start and pause campaigns like that. So it's always in the best interest of the dealership, the marketer, and the customer, just to kind of like always be on.
How about this? I have I'll give a more hot take.
Okay.
PMAX. I mean, we were just talking about retargeting. PMAX is really interesting. What do you think Google's doing? They're retargeting your customers. They know everything. I don't need much. So they're retargeting your customers. They're retargeting your name. And they're really good at putting signals back where you're looking. They are so good at click attribution that they just do so much. So PMAX is not my favorite. Hasn't been my favorite thing ever since it came out. I think it's Google's way of saying, you know what, we had a bunch of ads that you weren't buying from us. Yeah. Let's blend them together, and now you're going to buy a little bit of it. We're going to put in 20% of that stuff that you might not have bought in the past. So I'm not saying.
I'm glad you bring that up because I have audited. I'm glad you brought it up because I have audited a lot of let's call them vendor partners out there, and it seems to be like an end of the month thing. Like, oh, we didn't use all of our budget. Let's just throw it here. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't think that's like. I would rather my partner tell me they went a little over or a little under.
Yeah,
and just
Yeah.
All right, guys. I know we got time for one more. Still, a lot of people hanging in, so this is awesome. Okay, guys, you see the questions on the right-hand side. Is there any one of them that you're like drawn to that you'd like to finish off our session today with?
How do we stop wasting money on customers thinking about buying?
I like that one. That was a good one. I like that one.
That makes it up, right? Because we're always saying like get rid of. So you can take people, just like you can target an audience, you can also get rid of an audience. And so if you can identify things in those customers that are what's called anti-buying signals, we can suppress that list. And so I'll often do that for reference, right? I was talking to Mazda, that's a great example or whatever, and I'm on their site, and then I ended up buying a Mazda just for my family. And so then over the next like 8 months, I'm getting, or whatever it was, 6 months, I'm getting tons of Mazda ads still. And I was like, this is so easy, guys. I gave you my name. The dealer knows who bought the car. I know how. You don't have to serve my family ads anymore. We got you. The CX-90 is sitting in my driveway. And so they got me. So you can suppress that list is my example, right? I shouldn't be on their targeting list. That list can be distributed. And so that's one way. I do think that the other part of this question is just because I'm not in market today doesn't mean I'm not in market tomorrow.
Well, and should the message change to maybe a fixed ops message, right?
Yeah, and there you go. There's another idea. Like, let's change them to a service. Hey, you can't actually afford a car right now, but let's keep yours going. Let's keep yours going for a minute longer, and then we're there when you're ready or when your finances change. Because I think finances come into this a lot. Right?
Oh, 100%, especially this time of the year, right? It's a big one. Yeah. Christian, anything you'd like to add to that?
No, I think he hit the nail right on the head, but I think let's get one more question there because I think it's super relevant right now, which is what's the best way to stretch my ad dollars in December? Everything is costs much more this month. I think every dealership situation is going to be a little bit different, so there's no kind of like blanket answer to that. So I think it's really talk to, if you already have a true partner, they'll walk you and guide you through that. If you don't, obviously that's why Brian and I are here. So reach out to us and we'll take care of it. Take care of that for you.
That's awesome. And kind of just to add to that, and also just the last question we had is when you're talking to a real partner, right? They will talk to you not only about their targeting strategy, but to Brian's point, their suppression strategy. Mm-hmm. Right? I am always kind of dumbfounded how many people I talk to who don't talk about their suppression strategy. And look, as an operator, I want my dollars to stretch as far as humanly possible. So guys, again, talk to your agency, all right? Ask them these questions. You need to be intimate, understanding not only what their targeting strategy is, but what their suppression strategy is as well. Hey guys, thank you so much for taking the time. I know, guys, we went a little over. I know there's still some questions and people are still hanging out. I love this. I almost don't want to go, but hey, I know we need to. For everybody out there watching, listening right now, who would love to maybe connect with you guys and just learn some more about Demand Local, what's the best way to do so?
Yeah, just go ahead, Brian.
I was going to say you can email it direct. I mean, I'm Brian at demandlocal.com. And we are, happy to talk to people about what's going on. Could probably pass you off to Christian and his team. He's Christian at demandlocal.com. So yeah.
Yeah, for the folks going to NADA, we will be at NADA this year. We'll be sharing our booth with the Vendor 20 groups, with the Vendor 20 group this year. So we will have a booth presence at NADA this year.
Sweet. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys there. Hey, for everybody out there watching, we appreciate you. I know this is a very timely topic for you, hence the reason you guys came out in just drones to listen to today's conversation. Look, one of the biggest compliments you can give us as content creators is to share the show. All right. It means so much to us when you share the show. All right. If you have a friend or a colleague or a manager that needs to hear some part of today's conversation, share the show. It means a ton to us. Guys, thank you so much for jumping on and doing the Q&A. For everybody out there watching, listening, we appreciate you. You guys have a great holiday. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, guys.